Hey guys, welcome to today's podcast. Sorry that I'm late, but I've got something really important to say. I think it'll be worth it if you'll tune in. So tune on in and let's hear Hezekiah's prayer.
Welcome to Everyday Truth with Kurt Skelly. We believe the Bible is true and relevant to everyone, everywhere, every day. If today's conversation is a help to you, take a moment to leave a review or share it with a friend. Thanks for listening. Now, let's join Kurt for today's episode.
Hey friends, good morning, and I apologize. I always knew this day would come, that I would completely get messed up with my days and forget my podcast. But that's exactly what happened. I don't know how in the world I thought we were into the weekend, and alas, here I am on West Coast time realizing it's Friday, and I never gave you a teaching from the Word of God today. So please, 1,000 times forgive me for being late today, but better late than never. And I do hope that maybe some of you that listen to the podcast on your daily commute, on your way into work, maybe you'll tune in on your way home, or maybe sometime throughout the day or even tomorrow. So really sorry, especially because today I was so excited about today's episode because of its content. So today we're going to talk about the prayer of Hezekiah. We talked about how the delegation had come in from the king of Assyria. And by the way, I'm in Moses Lake, Washington here, and I'm right along the highway. You might be hearing some highway noise. My hotel is behind me. So busy day today. We have a big area-wide youth event today that I'll be preaching at a couple times. So really pray that God would move in a special way. But here we are in chapter 19. Hezekiah has been threatened, as you know, by this delegation led by Rabshakeh, representing the king of Assyria, Sennacherib, who's back in a place called Lachish. So Rabshakeh is going to go back and tell the king that he made all these threats against Hezekiah and all these threats, and yet the people did not surrender. So that's not a good outcome as far as the king of Assyria is concerned. And we pick it up in verse number 8. Rabshakeh returned and found the king of Assyria warring against Libnah. So Sennacherib, he has his own issues. He has defeated all these cities in Judah. He wants to mop up the operation in Judah, but he's also being harassed by others. He's warring against a city called Libnah, for he had heard that he was departed from Lachish, and when he heard say of Tirhakah, king of Ethiopia, behold, he has come out to fight against thee, for he sent messengers again unto Hezekiah, saying, Thus shall you speak to Hezekiah, king of Judah, saying, Let not the God in whom thou trustest deceive thee, saying, Jerusalem shall not be delivered. Basically, verses 10 through 14 reiterate what they had just done. They had sent these threatening messages to Hezekiah. But the point I want to bring out is that Sennacherib is not only dealing with what he thinks is a small foe, which is Judah, but now he's getting some pressure from Egypt, because this guy Tirhakah, even though it says he's Ethiopian, don't picture modern day Ethiopia. This would be the land in those days that was just south of Egypt. And even more interesting is that Tirhakah actually became the pharaoh of Egypt. So he really is the leader of Egypt here. And what Sennacherib is dealing with is he's dealing with pressure from a much larger foe, Egypt. He's dealing with the rebellion of a much smaller foe, Judah. So he kind of has his hands full too. Even though he talks big, even though he's been a big bully, even though he acts like he's the toughest guy in the world, he has his own issues. And is that not always the way it is with bullies? You know, they act like they are impervious to any kind of challenge, but in essence, what's happening here is Sennacherib is becoming more and more frustrated because he's facing these foes, and he's also facing this really nettlesome rebel in the form of Judah. So he gets the message from his own messengers saying, hey, Hezekiah is not acquiescing, and the people of Jerusalem are not surrendering. And essentially what the king of Assyria does, Sennacherib, is he just says, what in the world? I mean, I've defeated every nation that we've gone through, and there has not been one nation who has had its own gods who have defeated me. I am greater than every nation, and I am greater than the gods of every nation. So their God is no different than any other God. And that's really the point I want to make, because the issue in your trial, the issue in the odds that are stacked against you, is really not you. The issue for the believer in a trial is really your God. God showing himself strong. It's the reputation of the Lord. That's why in your trial, the issue is not even your comfort or your physical well-being. No, the issue is your faith, because it really all comes down to, what God are we representing? Are we representing the false gods of the heathen all around the world? And there are many different shapes and sizes of those. Or are we representing the true God? And does the true God have power? And can the true God defend himself? And can we put our faith and trust in the true God? Now, all of those questions are answered so beautifully by the way Hezekiah receives this new letter. Because here's what the king of Assyria does. He hears the report from Rabshakeh. He basically reiterates everything that Rabshakeh said in the first place, which was, who do you think you are? Your God is not strong enough. I'm going to squash you like the little mosquito that you are. And he sends a letter, a very threatening letter back to Hezekiah. So this is more than a verbal communication. This is a letter, like an official document. Have you ever been served papers? Have you ever received a court document with all the notarization and the strength of the government behind it? That's a pretty intimidating thing. So that's what happens here. Sennacherib sends this letter to Hezekiah, and Hezekiah now has this letter in front of him. That's what I want to show you today. And it's why I'm so disappointed that I'm coming at you late this morning. But look at verse 14. And Hezekiah received the letter of the hand of the messengers and read it. That must have been a dark day for Hezekiah. And Hezekiah went up into the house of the Lord. Well, that's important, because back in those days, the house of the Lord also represented the localized presence of God. Now, we know that God is everywhere present. We know that. But God, in a real sense, chose to center his presence on planet Earth at the temple, the house of God. So Hezekiah receives this letter mocking God, questioning God, and he takes that letter, and instead of letting that letter cause him to rebel against God, or to say, God, why haven't you helped me? Or maybe my God is weak. What Hezekiah does is the opposite. He allows the trial and the increased threat to bring him to God. What are you allowing your letter to do in your life? So he goes to the house of God and he spread it before the Lord. Boy, do I love that. He spread it before the Lord. He just said, Lord, this is what I'm facing. Lord, this is what they're saying. These are the problems I'm having. This is the threat I'm receiving. He spread it before the Lord. I love this because sometimes in life, that's the only thing you can do. You don't have a solution. There's not something physical you can do in response to. The only resource you have, the only option you have, is simply to say, Lord, here's what they're saying. Lord, here's what they're threatening. I'm going to spread this before. Hey, Lord, and not disrespectfully, but Lord, please read this. Spread it before the Lord. And verse 15, and not only did he go to the house of God and spread it before the Lord, but Hezekiah prayed before the Lord. So there's the house of the Lord. He spread it before the Lord. He prayed before the Lord, and he said, now listen to Hezekiah's prayer here. O Lord God of Israel, which dwellest between the cherubims, thou art the God, even thou alone, of all the kingdoms of the earth. Thou hast made heaven and earth. So he starts his prayer by attesting to what he knows is true. Now, God, it doesn't seem this way. Lord, it seems like I'm a little mosquito that's about to get swatted and squashed. But Lord, here's what I know about you. You are in heaven. You are in control. You are being worshiped. You are in charge of all the kingdoms of the world, not just Assyria, the ones that are threatening us, not just us, your chosen people, but you're in charge of all the kingdoms of the world. He testifies to the power of God. That he says in verse 16, Lord, bow down thine ear and hear. Open, Lord, thine eyes and see. Hear the words of Sennacherib, which he hath sent him to reproach the living God. Lord, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Lord, are you hearing what I'm hearing? Now, obviously, he's speaking anthropomorphically, but we know that Hezekiah knows that God can see and hear. It's not saying that he's not suggesting that God is hard of hearing or in some ways blind. But what he's saying is, Lord, here's the focus. And the focus is, Lord, they are not defying me. They are defying you. In essence, Lord, this is not my battle. Lord, this is your battle. This is David at the Valley of Elah saying, the battle is the Lord's. This is not God threatening and defying me, David, or King Saul, or the armies of Israel. This is a wicked man defying the armies of the living God. God, they're saying that you're just like all the other gods, that you're fake, that you're small, that you're localized. Lord, this is a battle against you. Verse 17, of a truth, Lord, the kings of Assyria have destroyed the nations and their lands. Lord, I'm not denying what I've seen. Lord, they are defying you, and they're a strong nation. They're on a rampage. They defeated all these other nations, including our northern brother Israel, and have cast their gods into the fire, for they were no gods, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone. Therefore they have destroyed them. Lord, I know the modus operandi of Assyria. I know they've come into all these nations. I know they've destroyed them. I know that they've discarded their gods. But God, you're not them. They were wood and stone. They were fake. They were not real. But Lord, you are the real and true God. Now therefore, O Lord our God, I beseech thee, save thou us out of his hand. Here's the reason why. That all the kingdoms of the earth may know that thou art the Lord God, even thou only. Lord, I'm asking for your help. I'm asking for deliverance for one reason. Lord, that you might be glorified, that people might know who you are. Don't you know? That's God's purpose in your trial. That's God's purpose in your prosperity. That people would know through you, reflected by you, who God is. And the nation of Judah should not have been in this position. They were in this position because they had turned from God. But you know, whether or not you're being chastised or whether or not you're being blessed with physical prosperity, in either way, your goal ought to be the same. That in this prosperity and in this persecution, Lord, that you would show yourself strong. That people would know who you are. So, what are you going through today? Good, bad, ugly? Doesn't make a difference. Because whatever it is, use it as a grand stage to trumpet the glory, the praise, the goodness, the reality of God. So I hope that helps today. Sorry I'm late. Have a great day in the Lord. God bless you, my friends.